So, right, the houses have appeared. Gary and Ian have moved in and they've moved next to Karen. Now, Bruce has done his A2 CofC, he has his C1 sub 500 grand drone for the transitional period because there are no C-marked aircraft yet. Now, what we've got here is, we've got Gary and Ian again, and we've got Karen. Karen is anti-drone, she doesn't want anything to do with them, and not going to happen. This is a terrace street for your imagination, if you could please, use your imagination. Terrace street, okay? Now, Ian wants his house roof inspecting, okay? He's done a modification to his house, so he's been working in his loft and roof, he put an extra window in, got a bit of a water leak, he needs someone to check it out. Bruce is the man. So, Ian's called Bruce, and yeah, Bruce has gone, yes I can do that. He's now got his aircraft, it's sub 500 grams. Now, currently under a PFCO, we have to maintain 50 metres from anyone not under our control. Okay, it's in a congested area. A PFCO is basically the same as the hobby rules in a rural area. So we get 30 metres takeoff and landing. Again, it is actually 60 metre around your aircraft. So if your aircraft's in the middle, there's a great big circle. You know, it's 30 metres in every direction. Okay. And the same in flight, it's the bubble, okay? Now, this is where the A2 CofC wins. It only wins in this scenario, okay? It only wins with a sub 500 gram aircraft, which means your Mavic Pro 2, your Zoom, your Phantoms are all no good at this point, okay? So, Bruce is going to take off. He's going to fly. Now, Gary doesn't have a problem anyway because Gary's quite chilled. He understands what drones are used for. Now, you could be in the back garden of Ian's house and to take off. Okay, so we could imagine we're stood in the back garden. But we're going to take off. Going to fly over here, going to take lots of photos, okay, do some video and do some stuff. Now, Karen's going to kick off because Karen's anti-drones and she doesn't like the thought because she thinks that she's been spied on, okay? Because people think that the world revolves around them. We know that Mummy's told everyone that they were special. So, and because she gets so many Facebook likes, everyone thinks she's special. And Instagram, you know, she's always on it. She's a special person for that reason. So you must be spying on her, although you're doing Ian's roof. Okay, trust me, I've come into a few Karens that think the world's around them. Not. So, we could have taken off in the back garden. Now, the important bit with the C1 aircraft, okay, is there is no horizontal separation as such. The only rule applies, right, is you cannot overfly anyone that's not involved in the flight. Now, that could be a car, so you cannot overfly cars, okay? You cannot overfly uninvolved people, so boats, you can't fly over them. That's the only rule. Other than that, so here's your car. If you are hovering here, right next to it, but not over it, that is legal, or will be, with an A2 CofC and a C1 aircraft, or sub 500 grams. Same applies to Karen's house. You've flown from the back garden, you've flown up. If you're flying here, and you're not overflying the house itself, okay, so you're not overflying this at all, that will be legal. This is better than any OSC going. Okay, so an operational safety case is, it's very much an extra piece to a PFCO. It's like an extra, it's an extra level of safety. And you will not get this today with an OSC, okay? You will not get no horizontal separation. So all PFCO holders, right now, the things you should be thinking about is, do you need the A2 CofC? The answer is yes. Your next question is, what aircraft are you going to use? What is capable at sub 500 grams? The best one out of everything at the minute is the Parrot Anafi. I know it's not DJI for the fanboys, I know, I apologise, but it's got zoom. Okay, so if you've got zoom, you're already ahead. You've got a 21.4 megapixel camera and it shoots in 4K. All the DJI stuff takes lovely pictures and videos, but they will not match the Parrot Anafi. Okay, because they don't have zoom, they don't have the 21 megapixel camera, and shooting in 4K can be a niggle for a few of them. So the biggest winner, Parrot Anafi, that's the one you're going to go and buy. Now, here's the extra bit with the C1 sub 500 grams aircraft. Now this is going to make anyone that's into bikes, motorbikes, car racing or car enthusiasts, any of that kind of stuff, this is where it's going to really win if you've got your A2 CofC and C1 sub 500 gram aircraft. This is a car, okay? Now Bruce is going to film this car, but he's got to do tracking on it. Okay, so you want a nice tracking shot, or you can use follow me mode. So we're going to talk about the follow me mode. Follow me mode. The important bit is with follow me mode. If your drone is flying here, right, and you're following said car, as long as you, the pilot, so Bruce, as long as Bruce here, right, is within 50 metres of the drone, so he can be in a chase car, Bruce can get his own little car, so Bruce has now got his own little car, right, so Bruce's car, as long as Bruce is within 50 metres of the front car, the drone can be in follow me mode, and Bruce does not have to keep visual line of sight on the drone. So with all flying currently, you have to keep visual line of sight. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're hobby flying or anything else, you have to maintain visual line of sight. Okay, and the reason is we want to avoid obstacles, don't want to hit things, and you don't want to hit manned aviation. However, I'm surprised this has come through, but it's in CAP 1789. If you are within 50 metres of your drone and you're following a car, you can be in another car and you do not have to keep visual line of sight of the drone. If that car goes behind a load of trees and you can't see it, you can't see your drone, but you know it's doing follow me, it doesn't matter, you can't see it. Okay? And that is the follow me mode can be used with a C1 sub 500 grams aircraft. Okay, that's not got the CE marking yet. When the C marking does come in, then you'll be able to do all this, but your aircraft will be C1 marked. Okay, and you must read the manual. Okay, read it. Okay, you've done a course, right? Read the manual, because if you don't read the manual, there's something wrong with you. And this is with the C1 sub 500 grams aircraft, and yeah, it won't matter once you've got your A2 CofC, so much can be unlocked with the sub 500 grams. Okay, now who would like to know what you're going to be able to do with your Phantoms, your Mavic 2 Pros, your Mavic Zooms, your Mavic Air 2? Shall we have a look at where they fit in all this? Okay, let's do that. Right, let's discuss the A2 CofC C2 subcategory. Okay, well it's the A2 subcategory, C2 aircraft. Okay. And we're all under the A3 open category, so it's in a subcategory next year. I'll do an explanation of where everything fits shortly. So, the C2 aircraft. Now, in the transition period, so we've got the transition. Transition period. this is for aircraft that weigh from 500 grams to 2 kilos. Okay, there are no C2 marked aircraft, don't know when they come in, so the important bit is 500 grams to 2 kilos. Okay, this is the important bit. Now, Bruce is back. Here we go, this is Bruce. He's flying a Mavic Pro 2, okay, which falls in at just over a kilo, so it's in the transition period. He's got his A2 CofC, he's flying the Mavic Pro 2, the current aircraft you have today. Ian wants his roof inspecting again. Now, the problem is now, that if this was Ian's back garden, okay, and it's next door to Karen's back garden, so consider these the back gardens, right? The problem is that Bruce now has to keep, because Karen says no, he now has to keep a horizontal separation. Remember, it's about horizontal separation. So it is, how far does he have to keep? Anyone? He has to keep 50 metres from anything that is not involved in the flight, and that includes other houses. So if it's a row of, if it was a row of terraced housing in a city like this, okay, and these are just the streets, and then you've got all your houses in the middle and everything, and these are all your houses, blah 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 blah. Now I'm going to be generous, right? And let's say each row is 12 metres, 12 metres and 12 metres, and there's a road, what's that, 36 metres in total? You still, and let's say this one person objects in the middle, you still have to keep 50 metres away, okay? But then there's all the roads you've got to control, and if these are the roads, these blue lines are the roads, you've still got to keep 50 metres from all this. This is why the Mavic Pro 2 does not win in a congested area or built up area with uninvolved people around. This is why you want to look at a C1 transitional aircraft, okay? It's going to be a nightmare if you think that flying a Mavic Pro 2 in a built up area, congested area, a city environment if you like, is going to be possible with an A2 CofC. It's going to be a bit of a nightmare because it's horizontal. There's none of this, so here's your drone, the bubble around it, that's no, okay, that's not happening, okay. So it has to be 50 metres from roads, from cars, okay. Remember, the uninvolved person can be sat in the car here, right, it's 50 metres from the car, okay, so that's all roads, all traffic. Now, if you're rural flying, it'll be very much like it is today, apart from you won't be able to overfly roads, you won't be able to overfly properties, you'll have to go around them. Okay, so that's what an A2 CofC with a transitional aircraft allows you to do. Okay, now, there is an important bit here. Let's say the C2 aircraft comes out. Bruce, okay, doesn't like buying new toys, but he's got one. He's been out, he's bought the Mavic Pro 4, which is C2 certified. The first thing he's going to do is, would anyone like to guess? He's going to read the manual. Okay, if anyone needs to know what the F means, yeah, you can just, yeah. So we're going to read the manual. Okay, his Mavic Pro 4 comes a lot out, and this is the important bit, it has a slow speed mode. Any aircraft that's C2 marked with a slow speed mode is allowed to come down to a separation distance of 5 metres from uninvolved people. Okay, 5 metres. Now all of a sudden Karen's house is looking quite good. But let's go with Ian's backyard is 8 metres across. Then we've got Ian who lives next door. Oh sorry, I've got Gary who lives next door, and he's got 8 metres. Gary doesn't mind drones, Karen doesn't like him, and she's got her 8 metres. But the problem is, Karen can come and stand at this point in the garden, just here, and shout abuse at you. You want to take off, you've got to have 5 metres separation. You're thinking, oh, 5 metres. The house is 8 metres tall. Now, there is something under the slow speed mode and the 1-to-1 rule. Okay? Now this is where the 1-to-1 rule can work for you to a degree. So Karen has come and stood right at the edge of her garden, which means you've now only got 5 metres to work in. Okay? Because she's just being a bitch and not going anywhere, she's just being horrible. What you would really need to do is get Ian to have a word with Gary so you can take off from here. Okay, this is what you want to do. You want to take off from here in the garden with the slow speed mode. Okay, we've got 8 metres and we've got another, let's say we've got 5, 8, oh we've got 13 metres, unlucky. But no, maybe not. So, if you went up 13 metres high from here, right, and you're flying here, you could then take photos of Ian's roof. But you won't be able to go any further because it's about the horizontal separation to the uninvolved person. And under the 1-to-1 rule, okay, if you're 13 metres high, you have to be, so you're 13 metres high, you've got to be 13 metres horizontal separation. Okay, so for every metre you climb, you have to keep the same away, and you have to engage the slow speed mode if you are below 30 metres. Okay, that's the critical bit. If that makes sense to anyone, let me know. If not, I'm not surprised. So yeah, the slow speed mode will be the winner when we get C2 marked aircraft. Before then, you only win if you're flying in the countryside and you kind of want the rules to remain as they are now. Otherwise, yeah, it's not that good. But so, again, here's our drone. If we're 10 metres high, from uninvolved people, it has to be 10 metres horizontal separation. Okay, it's all about the uninvolved people. There's no overflight at all, so this flying over here, that's just a no. Okay, the PFCO will allow it, does allow overflight, but without it you cannot. Okay, and the same will apply to roads. Okay, so if Bruce is flying near a road and he engages slow speed mode, as long as he can keep the horizontal distance of his 10 metres up, so it's 10 metres up, he has to keep 10 metres from the road. Okay, and that's how it works. Now, this is only with a CE marked aircraft though, and a CE2 marked aircraft at that. Right now, this is the big unknown. Okay, because we don't know what's going on with Brexit and everything. And I got an email from the DFT. I said, how do I get an aircraft C marked? And they went, meh. Well, they didn't say meh. They said, we don't know what's going to happen yet. So wait for the new CAP 1789. Wait for the new CAP 722. It should explain this. This could all change. Okay, so just bear that in mind. This is not guaranteed. This could change. CE marking system might change for the UK, we don't know. And an A2 CofC in the UK does not mean that you're going to go to mainland Europe and use the same card over there. You may have to take a local A2 CofC test, okay, because of Brexit. We don't know. The same applies with the GBC. Doesn't mean it's going to be the same over there. However, what it should do is, if you can pass the exam here, you should be able to pass it in any other country, depending on their airspace rules is the main bit you're going to have to look up. Okay, so that is it. That's what's going to be able to do with the A2 CofC. And you've got a CE marked or non-CE marked. Right.